Today is section 5.2. We're going to start with some bell works and review of 2 questions from yesterday doing distance. So find some scratch paper. These are the 2 problems you're going to work on. It says find the distance between the following points. You can use your notes from yesterday if you forgot. Go ahead and pause the video for a few minutes and then I will talk about the answers. Your answers are, remember we're doing distance, so how far apart are they? We are wanting to know. So we turn it into a right triangle. How far apart are they in the x direction? 10. How far apart in the y direction? 24. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. C, the missing distance comes out to be 26. Number 2, same idea. How far apart are r and z? In the x direction, they're 7 apart. In the y direction, 6 and negative 8 are 14 apart. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. We end up with root 245. No decimals allowed. All right, let's start today's lesson. Today we're talking about the main word midpoint. We're doing midpoint today on the coordinate plane. In the box it says midpoint. Think average. So if I wanted to find the average of 20 test scores, how would I do that? I would add up all 20 scores and divide by 20. So if I'm wanting the average of 2 points, I'm going to add them up and divide by 2. That leaves us with this important midpoint formula. To find the middle point, you're going to add the x's and divide by 2. You are going to add the y's and divide by 2. You will be left with a point, a middle point. So let's take a look at how this works in this diagram here. We're going to write down all of the coordinates. So you're looking at coordinate A. That is 2, 2. So go ahead and write 2, 2 for A. B is 2, 6. Go ahead, just look at this grid at all of the points and write down where they're located. We haven't done any midpoint, we haven't done any real math. We have just looked at our points and we've written them down. Now let's talk about midpoint. We have a formula for how to find it. Let's look at segment AB. Here is segment AB. We know points for A and for B. You can tell by looking that the middle point is right here. And that is the point 2, 4. Let's write down that point, 2, 4. Let's see if that's what works in our formula. Let's see if our formula works. So we're going to add the x's and divide by 2. We're going to add the y's, 2 and 6, and divide by 2. We can do this in our head. Let's start with our x's here. 2 plus 2 is 4. Divided by 2 is 2. Let's look at our y's here. 2 plus 6 is 8. Divided by 2 is 4. It does work. Now, I would like you to set your pencil down and look up here, please. Let's talk about putting this in our calculator. Sometimes mental math works. It's easy and we can just figure it out without. But if you were to type it in your calculator, this is really important because it's a common mistake students make. Students will type this in their calculator. They will type 2 plus 6 divided by 2. And here's what your calculator will do. It will divide the 6 by 2, and it will give you 3 for an answer of 5. That is not correct. If you're going to ever type this in, here's what you need to make sure you do. Both the 2 and the 6 are divided by 2. So when you type it, you need to type parentheses 2 plus 6 so that all of it gets divided by 2. Then our calculator does 2 plus 6, which is 8, divides both of those by 2 to get 4, which is correct. You can use mental math, you can use a calculator. Just be sure you type it correctly if you're going to put it in your calculator. Okay, let's do the next one with the formulas. So we have segment CD. Let's go ahead and add the x's. 5 plus 11. We always divide by 2 because we're taking the average. Let's do the y's. Add the y's. 7 and 7. Divide by 2. Go ahead and do that in your head or in a calculator. See what you get. 5 and 11 is 16. Divided by 2 is 8. 7 plus 7 is 14. Divided by 2 is 7. Let's plot that point and see if it seems like a reasonable midpoint. 8, 7. That looks exactly like the middle of CD. Okay, so we want to use the formula so that we get the exact answer. And you're not always given a graph, so we can't always just look at it and pick the middle point. Go ahead and use these 2 points for EF. Add the x's, divide by 2. Add the y's, divide by 2. Write down your point as I do it myself. Add the x's, you get 10. Divide by 2, you're at 5. Add the y's, you get 6. Divide by 2, you get 3. Let's plot that point, see if it looks like the middle of EF. Let's plot 5, 3. That does look like the middle of segment EF. Go ahead, try the last one. Look at points G and H. Find the midpoint and then plot it. See if it looks good. I got 11, 2. I plotted it, and that does look like the exact middle point of G and H. Okay, this next one. Find the midpoint of the following. So there is no graph. We're just going to average. Let's go ahead and find the middle point using our formula. Add the x's, divide by 2. Our x's are 5 and 10. Divide by 2. Add the y's. You can use a calculator. Make sure you type it correctly. The whole top should be in parentheses. Now, you notice I got 15 halves. You can leave it like this. This is a fine answer. Or you can leave a decimal. 15 halves is 7.5. Either way, either answer is okay. Please make sure your answer has parentheses and a comma. That's how we write points. Now, the directions for number 2 and 3 are very important. It says point A is 5, -3, and the midpoint is 7, 5. what is the other end point? Normally, I have 2 points, and I want to know the middle one. I use my formula to find the middle point. That's what we've been doing. Now, here's what we know. We know one of the points is 5, -3, and we happen to know the midpoint. It is not a question anymore. The middle point is 7, 5. We need to know the other end. Can I use the midpoint formula like I've been doing to find the other end? Well, not exactly. I can't add these x's and divide by 2 and add the y's divide by 2 because I'd be giving or finding the middle of that. That's not what I want. There is a way to use the formula. It gets a little complicated. So here's the way I usually tell students to do it. Think about going for a walk. If I'm at 5 and I get to the middle and I'm at 7, how much did I walk? I walked up 2. So how much should I walk to get to the other end? The same amount. I need to walk up 2 more. So what is up 2 more from here? 9. I know my picture isn't going up. That's okay. It's just like sort of a visual to look at. It's not really to scale. Let's look at the y values. I'm at -3. I'm going for a walk to get to the middle, and I end up at 5. How much did I walk? -3 to 5. I walked up 8. So what do I need to do to get to the other side? I need to walk up 8 more. I'm at 5. Walk up 8 more. I'm at 13. This is my answer. Okay, so just read the directions, and if you are given the ending points and you want the middle, use your formula. Add the x's, divide by 2, add the y's, divide by 2. We can't do that in question 2 because we're not trying to find the middle of the points that we were given. Let's look at number 3. We have R at 10, 4. We have the middle point at 7, 9. And we want to know where the other ending point is. Think about going for a walk and see what you get. Okay, let me talk through it. I am at 10, and I'm walking to the middle, and now I'm at 7. It looks like from 10 to 7, I walked down 3. To get to the other end, I need to keep doing the same thing. Walk down 3 more. If I'm at 7, I walk down 3 more, I'm at 4. Let's do the same thing with the y's. I'm at 4. Walk into the middle, and I end up at 9. I walked up 5. Got to get to the other end. Got to do the same thing. So let's walk up 5 more from here. I'd end up at 14. That's my other ending point. Not a lot of work required there. It's just important we read directions so that we don't accidentally find the middle of the 2 points that we were given.